Welcome back to the Get Off the Treadmill podcast for small business owners and entrepreneurs, where we show you how to build a successful business and to have a life too. We're going to dive into another topic that helps us make more money in less time and to get off the treadmill so we can experience a life of significance. And now, your host and the author of the #1 best-selling business book, Making Money is Killing Your Business, Chuck Blakeman.
Today I'm with Stacy Voss. I'm so excited to have Stacy on. She is the founder of North Star Grant Writing, which helps small to mid-sized nonprofits expand their revenue streams and their impact. Stacy and her team help generate millions of dollars for their clients every year. When she isn't leading her grant writing team or writing grants herself, Stacy can be found hiking, paddleboarding, snowshoeing, or curled up in a hammock with a good book. And if you haven't heard our first podcast with Stacy, I would encourage you to go back 2 or 3 months and find that with Stacy, just talking about her journey as a business owner from being the only person in her business to having an actual business with a number of people in it that has created incredible freedom for her. It was a wonderful podcast, and I want to encourage you to go back and listen to that. Today, we're going to talk to Stacy about something we call freedom mapping, which is mapping your way to freedom and mapping the way to freedom in your business with everybody else. Welcome, Stacy. Love having you on again.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Well, we're going to geek out today on the thing that I call where the rubber meets the road. We have 4 building blocks that we identified over the years by simply working with people. We didn't do a survey or sit in an ivory tower and come up with stuff. We just kept seeing recurring themes. There's 4 building blocks of every business. One is a big why. What are you doing this for? It's bigger than your business. What are you doing this for? The second one is a plan. If you know what you're doing this for, then what's your strategic plan, not your business plan, way 2 different things. What's your plan for getting to your big why? And the third one, if you know what your big why is and you have a plan, then you need to figure out how to actually implement your plan. And that's freedom mapping. We sometimes call it process mapping, but it's using the principle and the concept of process mapping to map people's way to freedom, the people who work with you, and to map your own way to freedom. Unless you do freedom mapping, you will never get off the business owner treadmill. That is the sad truth. But if you do it, you can get there, and everybody can do it. You don't have to be smart or lucky. So let's get into freedom mapping. Stacy, when you first heard this idea, we called it process mapping. That's how you heard it to begin with. And what did that do for you as a small business owner? And I'm asking this question because way too many small business owners hear freedom mapping or process mapping or mapping anything, and they think, well, that's for giant corporations, right? That's you hire really expensive teams to come in and map all your stuff. So when you heard this as a solo business owner, what did you think?
I would imagine that at the time I thought, why would I need to do this? It's just me. I know how I do everything. I don't remember exactly, but I would imagine that was my reaction.
That you would want to do this. Because mine was, oh, I would never want to do this.
No, I thought, why would I sit down and write it all out? If it's just me doing it,
right?
I'm doing. It's like, if you have that recipe from grandma and it's memorized in your head and you do it every other night, why are you going to write it down if it's just you using it? No one's asking for the recipe.
Yeah. So how did you get to where you thought, well, maybe I should do this? What light bulb went on?
I think as I started bringing people onto my team and I started realizing I wanted my clients to have the same experience regardless of who was writing grants for them. And I believe there's so much value in that they're going to experience the same results. They expect that same in the process, not the freedom map itself, but just the process of knowing if you're contracting with North Star, this is what you can expect from us. So if my team didn't understand that, they wouldn't all be able to deliver the same level of results. So I started adding things in because we have things like our boilerplate, our template that we'll use per client that will update annually on a big overhaul, but then clients make little tweaks throughout the year. So we might tweak a small proposal, but then sometimes I'd hear a client that someone on my team was managing and they'd say, oh, why is she asking the same question again? Well, they didn't have this little step at the end of the process or the freedom map to say, hey, when a client updates something on the specific proposal, take that back into your boilerplate because we want to honor and respect our clients' time.
Beautiful.
Our mission is we take care of the grant writing so you can take care of the rest. Because I recognize that my clients have so much on their plate, they're not writing grants because they don't have time for it. So if we're not including that little step, we're violating our mission. So one of the things I remember when I first started hearing you talk about freedom mapping, I didn't, my biggest rub was you said anybody that's going to be included in the process, using the process needs to be part of formulating the process. And I was like, why would I do that? Like, I know the process, it lives in my head. Like, it's the recipe that's been passed down from generations from grandma. So you're not going to ask everybody to adapt the recipe. You're like, here's grandma's recipe. And so I just wanted to be like, no, like, why would I do that?
Why would I get somebody else involved and say, help me write this process?
Yeah. And so that was probably my biggest reluctance on it, is to have them weigh in.
So what did you
And then
experience?
as I finally started letting go of that and saying, okay, here's what I have. It was a slow
Here's
process.
grandma's recipe. Here is the
Yeah.
recipe. This is what I got for now. That's
Right.
fair.
And then what do you guys think? And then they started weighing in, and I started going, their thoughts are really good. Not
Grandma's
bad.
recipe is going to get way better.
Yes. Yeah. And so they have helped me make a lot of adaptations. Some of it we've tweaked depending on how long someone's been on the team. There's like the, kind of the incubation period as they're learning more of our systems and they're more hands-on maybe with me or their mentor on the team. And then here's the next level of the freedom map of, as they kind of almost have more freedom within the company, here's what they do. But we all have this universal process now that I can guarantee you, regardless of which grant writer a nonprofit is paired with, I know they're going to receive the same experience.
Brilliant.
And to me, that's huge.
So, yeah, and I want to stop on that because, and I will, for our listeners who are saying, what's freedom mapping? Well, we'll give you that in a second. Probably should have given that up front, but, we're doing this stuff like we're talking on the back porch, having a barbecue. And what you said is so important. Here's why someone who has nobody working with them should do freedom mapping. And it starts with the concept of trust. I ask business owners all the time, what's your number one asset? Most of the time they'll say, my people. That is not your number one asset. Then maybe it's my intellectual, nope. Maybe it's my financial, nope. My market, nope. My cup, nope. Your number one asset. And we never think of this way, which is why people honestly don't say it. Our number one asset is trust. If you don't have trust, every other asset you have will not help you get anywhere. If your people who work with you, the team members, your vendors and your customers, if they don't trust you, you're done. So that is our number one asset. Well, how do we make sure that we keep the trust we have? I would suggest your number one asset is trust, and your number one practice for getting trust is consistency. Say what you're going to do and do what you said. And you just said that better than I could have ever said it, that you just, you wrote this stuff down so that everybody could have the same experience. You could pass your nonprofit organizations around to different grant writers and they would still have the basic fundamental consistency experience that creates trust. So I have a realtor who did this. I've also had companies with thousands of people who've done it. And the realtor had the same experience. She now has a process. She works on her own. She now has a process she uses with every single client. And when she gets referred to somebody and they say, boy, you're going to love Sally because she does X, they get the same experience. So I just love that you started with that reason for doing this. Any other thoughts on that? And if not, what other good reasons would you have to do freedom mapping? And then we'll tell people a little bit about what it is.
I'll just back up and say, even when I send a potential client, a client service agreement, part of that now says, here's what you can expect from us, because it is all about, and you can expect that you're going to get this proposal at least 48 hours before it's due. You can expect this. And so they know exactly. We even say, I'm super specific on this with my team. When you send it to the client, the subject line has to say, for your review, and the name of the proposal and the deadline, because I know that they're going to forget when it's due and it needs to be in the subject line. I know they're going to forget where it is. And so they have to be able to just to search by for your review. I make it so consistent. And then after we submit it, it might be exactly what they saw, but it'll come back. The subject line will say for your files. Even like we keep it, and sometimes we have shared documents with our clients, but I tell my clients, when you see that, that is how you know we've submitted it. You don't have to go, did they get it in? Did they forget what happened? And so it just alleviates the questions on our end. It alleviates concerns on our clients' end. No one has to spend extra energy wondering. They just know it's done.
My psychology friends tell me the worst of human conditions is uncertainty. Now, I also think it's the best because it's where we learn. But you don't need uncertainty when you're doing these kinds of things, and you just share with your customers, here's what it's going to look like. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say what I'm going to do. And then we actually do what I said, and you remove uncertainty, and they just go, oh, that's so nice. I'm actually getting what they said I would get. It's such a loyalty builder that it creates trust in a way that you would never get other ways. So I want to share just real quickly, what is freedom mapping? Freedom mapping is basically taking any process, and we like to start with the macro process, which is the process from soup to nuts, from the beginning of your customer's experience in where they connect with you through advertising or marketing, all the way through to putting their money in the bank and continuing to develop a relationship with them. And then there's subsystems where accounting or operations or sales or grant writing or parts of grant writing, you'll have different micro processes. You'll have the macro map of the whole business, and then you'll have micro maps. And the micro map is basically from the beginning of the process to the end of the process. So a real quick example would be marketing and sales process would start with, how will those people connect with us? Well, through Facebook or advertising. What is it? How will we reach them? And then what will they do to connect with us via email, et cetera, all the way through to the ending of the proposal where they sign the document, say, we're in. And then the next map might be the operations map. And it starts with the end of the sales map. We're going to hand this customer off to you. And now we have an operations map. How are we going to write this grant? How are we going to do this thing? And that goes through to the end of that. And that goes to accounting, to bill. And so you have these little maps, and these maps provide clarity for anybody involved in the process. So anything you want to add to that, that's a real fast overview. We have a workshop we're putting together on how to actually build your own maps. But thoughts on amplifying on what is a freedom map?
I'll just add in, ours is color coded. I think it's something you taught me. Some of it is by who on the team is responsible for it. And so there's different, and some of it is the admin can do this, or if my grant writer wants to do it, they could,
think boxes and arrows. The boxes and arrows, these are just like 17 steps in this process, 17 boxes, 16 arrows. And each box has a color coding to let everybody know who exactly is responsible for what's in that box. It might be 3 different people. You'll have 3 different colors, and those 17 boxes will be colored 3 different colors. Everybody knows with utter clarity who's responsible for what. They might all do box number 4, but Sally is responsible to make sure everybody gets box number 4 done. So that's her color. Great. So what are some other benefits that you've seen? I mean, we could stop right here and be done, but what are some other benefits you've seen of doing this with your team?
Mine has somewhat become a little bit of a flow chart as well. So sometimes the arrows will deviate if yes, and here's this path.
Yeah, sure.
No, because it'll be, tell the client about the proposal, give them an overview of the highs and lows and what, and then they might say, oh, no, I don't want to apply. Okay, now we just stopped that process. But then there's different choose your own adventure pathways on it. And so it gives my team a lot of flexibility, because then they know there's certain parts where it's like, especially earlier on, bring this part to Stacy, or your trainer, and then they can help you on this step. But then it just provides so much freedom for them, because I don't have my team asking me questions every day. Hey, so-and-so just said this, what do I do? Like my team is spectacular. They are brilliant. And so I'm just like, go do your thing. And then they come to me with like the really hard questions of, I'm stuck on this question, how like a grant question. I don't have to answer management questions. It's just, hey, give me an idea. How would you answer this? And sometimes we bring it to their staff meetings and we collectively answer it. But I don't have to do that management garbage
Nice.
because they know what to do.
That's huge. What if we actually eliminated management of people from business? This is the core to that. And I can show you 10,000 person companies who have no managers. Think of the money that they save, because there are leaders, but one leader can work with 50 people. One manager works with 7 to 10. Think of the 5 to 10 layers that they don't have to have. And you're experiencing that as a small business. I don't have to manage these people. The processes, the freedom mapping, the maps that we put together and we agreed on, that manages everybody. And if there's something broken, I don't yell at them. We bring out the map, and the map yells at both of us, or the map needs to be changed. That's usually one of the things, right? Either the map's wrong because the world has changed, so we just fix the map, or the map is still right and we moved and we shouldn't. So we go back to doing what the map says.
Exactly.
How do you keep these things alive for these people? It's just such a daily thing with them that they've got these little maps in front of them and they know how to go with this flow chart. How do you keep it alive?
At first, we're looking at it a lot. When they first join the team, we're looking at it consistently. And when I'm meeting with them, because my team's all remote work.
So it's a training tool.
So it's a training tool. And I'll tell them, like, I expect you to fail so many times. Like,
excellent.
First day on the job, I expect you're going to fail at least 1,000 times. Oops, you haven't hit your quota. Come on. Like, we're going to mess up. It's a lot. There's a lot of systems in place. Cool. Let's learn it. No big deal if you screw up because you're human. Cool. So
and that's only what we learn is by, the neurologists tell us that we don't learn if we did it perfectly. We only learn because we messed it up.
Right. But I'm like, you get a hold of the cheat sheet right in front of you and ask you the question. Look at box number 3. Oh, okay. So we're just looking at it a lot. And then we'll go over it usually once a month as a team. We'll go through it. Sometimes it's really fast. I'm like, I'm sick of this map. Everyone else sick of it. Yeah, we're sick of it. And we'll just kind of breeze through it because we're kind of tired of it, because we really have one fundamental map. Because as you talked about, there's the macro
map. Yeah.
We really don't have that, because what I've discovered, how do we market? We do a really good job with all of our grants. So that trust is already there. So everybody we're writing grants for tells other people about it. So I don't have a marketing map. What's my bookkeeping map? Well, I just have a great bookkeeper, and that's all the stuff I kind of do on the side. And I don't really have to, I just funnel a few things to them. So really for my team, we have one main map. And if we do that well, all the other things take care of itself. So we get a little bored with it. Occasionally we go, hey, is it still relevant? We make some tweaks. But it'll be a 5-second, let's just look at it again. Where are we at?
Well, that's another good principle. We're not going to get to half of it today, but another great principle of freedom mapping for those who are like me, who are serial entrepreneurs who are not interested in detail. We're ADHD, dyslexic, and left brain or right brain. We hate this stuff. We do not like details and getting into, people's heads are exploding as we're talking about freedom mapping. And you said it earlier. If you were me and you had grandma's recipe, I don't even want to get it out of my head. I don't even want to write it down. So how do you keep, if you're me and you're many of the other people like me, how do you keep from being scared at the possibility of having to write down a process? How can I tell them to relax? And I'll poison the well by saying there's 5 other people in their business who do this process. So how could they maybe not wig out about writing down the process?
This might not directly answer your question, so you can
whatever your answer is,
if it doesn't. But one of my favorite activities we did, because usually once a month we'll go over our freedom map, and once a month we look at our core values and mission. And once we combine them into one meeting, and I said, okay, let's go through the process map, the freedom map, and every single step, we're going to take that and we're going to say, which of our core values does it address?
Nice.
Or how does it align with our mission? And it was so powerful, because I want everyone to know, and everyone was like, yeah, this hits this value, this hits this value, because we're a value-driven company. And so having the process down just affirmed that, and it helped further reiterate to my team, this is one instance in which we can display these values to our customers.
Yeah. So you answered the question. You just didn't say it the way that I say it. You got your team involved.
Yeah.
I mean, you just intuitively do that because you're an intuitive person. You got your team involved. Why would I do this myself? You know, those people are running the process. Why don't I get them involved? They might actually have some great input. And for me, as far as this is concerned, I think I've probably written 3 or 4 processes in my life. I don't like this stuff, but I will make sure that it gets done. And there are people who love doing this, who are running the process. So we sit together and they write the process and they share the process with me, and I give feedback. Well, what about this? Did you think about that? Hey, you might have forgotten that. Hey, this is something I'd never thought of. So I don't have to write the stuff. I just give feedback. And then it gets a life of its own. And anytime that we have trouble with our business, we just look at the map or the maps. And we look back at those and say, well, did we deviate, or has the world changed and the map needs to change? Those are the 2 places where we're going to miss, and consistency will reign. You said one other thing that I love. You only have 1 map. Now, I think you're the only company I've ever met that only has 1 map. I've met way too many companies that have 30 or
Wow.
40. Yeah. And I guarantee you, they are still only using no more, even a company with 1,000 people, they're really only paying attention to 5 or 6 or 7 of those 30 or 40 or 50 maps they have. It's one of the principles of freedom mapping. Map only the things that are broken or the things you know are going to break and you've just been lucky. And if you just do that, you're not going to map a lot of stuff. You might still map a new process, but then you're going to put it aside and it's going to be kind of over there in the corner if you ever need it. But we pay attention. You pay attention to 1 map because that's the map where things could break or things do break. And so you're going to pay attention to that one. That's just a great focus of this process, of this idea of freedom mapping. And I want you to just share as we close out here today, how freedom mapping has helped you as a business owner gain more freedom in your business. You said one thing, you don't have to manage people. That's enough. Is there anything else?
Actually, as you were talking, I guess I potentially have a second map, but it's not really written out.
Yeah.
One of my admins, she's in India. She goes in on the first morning of the month and checks our time tracker. She creates all of her invoices. It's a beautiful relationship.
Well, she's got a map. That's great.
She came up with her own systems. We
Beautiful.
kind of tweaked it with time. I wake up on the 1st and my invoices are in my inbox. It's beautiful. And so she has the flexibility to say, hey, can I do it like this? And we've just figured it out. And so it actually with her, like she's in India. I've never met her. I can't imagine I ever will. And yet we'll share pictures and she goes,
Yeah.
I can't believe like you've allowed me to become like family. Her only role is to do my invoices once a month, but it saves me so much time and it's amazing. And so
But
I've
this is a
created this
benefit.
family with someone in India and she has autonomy over doing it and gets to feel like she gets to help make a difference with us. So it just empowers people while it gives me freedom too.
And that's another benefit of freedom mapping. You have that because she has a process, information, data, and reports come and find you. You don't have to chase them. That's another way that you gain freedom in your business. So we could just keep going forever and ever. And we want people to be teased with the motivation to say, hey, I want to do this for myself. And so they can get a hold of us and frankly, they get a hold of you and learn how to do freedom mapping because you do it so well. How could people get a hold of you? You do grant writing, and your company does grant writing for nonprofits. So people might know somebody who runs a grant or a nonprofit who would like to have a lot more money, or they run one themselves and they would like to actually do this without the hassle. How could people get a hold of you?
Best way is just through our website. So we're at northstargrantwriting.com. My email is Stacy, STACY at northstargrantwriting.com. And you can also just contact me directly through the website as well.
Stacy, it's fun to have you in my circle of influence, and I'm encouraged and you're a great example to me and to other business owners of how to make this stuff work. Appreciate you.
You've taught me tremendously. So thank you for all I've been able to learn through you.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
That wraps up another episode of the Get Off the Treadmill podcast. If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe and hit the like button to ensure you are receiving the latest tools you need to grow your business and to get off the treadmill. If you want more information on the 3 to 5 Club, the Crankset Group, or to book Chuck as a business advisor, speaker, or workshop leader, you can contact us at grow@cranksetgroup.com. Until next time, have a great week.